Oh wait, it's movie night with friends. Let me see if there's a watch together feature. What? No watch together? That's not gonna work. Alright, Friday night, end of the work week, time to relax and watch some movies on Plex. Hey Siri, movie mode.
Movie mode. Coming right up.
Alright, let's see what new movies I haven't watched yet. Oh, the new Bond movie. I heard that was good. Think I'll watch that. Wait a minute. What was that? EMBY. Oh yeah. I forgot about that app. That's the direct competitor to Plex. I downloaded the server some time ago to try it out and forgot about it. Let me check this out. I do remember it being a little more stable than Plex. Interface is pretty snappy, okay. Not sure about this layout though. Oh wait, it's movie night with friends. Let me see if there's a watch together feature. What? No watch together? That's not gonna work. Come on, man. Man, you know what? Maybe I should just go back to my computer and tinker around with the software a little bit. See which one I like better after customizing it. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna do that. What's up YouTube? I'm Haterade Cowboy. Welcome back to my channel, Haterade Cowboy Cinema. If this is your first time visiting the channel, welcome. I'm a home theater enthusiast. I do tips, tutorials, and reviews on all things home theater on my channel. So please consider liking and subscribing and hitting that bell notification if you're into that type of thing. Alright, so today's video is going to be a little bit different as I'm going to be doing a battle of the plexes. I know that's corny, but hey, it sounded good. No, but I'm going to be doing a comparison of Plex versus EMBY. Now, anybody that watches my channel knows that I'm a huge proponent of Plex. I use Plex all the time. I use Plex every day. I use Plex with friends remotely. Friends come over and we watch movies on Plex, and it's just a great experience. So I've been seeing some people on YouTube asking for a Plex versus EMBY comparison. So I figured I would make a video myself. Now, I haven't used EMBY in a while, but I have used it before. And actually, a couple years ago, when Plex was, I guess, still relatively new, it had a lot of bugs and it was very buggy. And I got tired of it. I got fed up, and I decided to try something else. And that's when I found out about EMBY. Now, Plex has come a long way. It is very stable now. It's made vast improvements. But like I said, a couple years ago, that wasn't always the case. And it was kind of hit or miss as to what kind of experience you would get. And so I downloaded EMBY. Well, EMBY to me at the time was much more stable. But one thing that I didn't like about EMBY was the interface. And especially the setup process is very different from Plex. It's not completely different, but there are some differences that I want to show you because you may be deciding whether to build your own movie server at home. And you may want to know, should I go with Plex or should I go with EMBY? So that's what this video is going to be about. Stick around, watch the video so you can find out which server is right for you.
All right, so before we actually go look at the Plex clients, the streaming devices, let's take a look first at the brains of these servers, which is actually the server itself. So we have a tab for Plex and we have a tab for EMBY. So there's a lot of similarities, but there's also some differences, and this may be crucial when you're deciding which server you want to use to start building your movie library server on your home network. So we have Plex. All right, so we have different rows that show us from our media library. So we have like continue watching, recently added TV series, recently added SD movies. You get the idea. And this is pretty much customizable. And then over to your left, you have your actual libraries. And I can click in each one. If I have collections, I can do that. And I can show you how to do collections. If you have multiple movies, like Marvel Universe or DC Universe or something like that. All right, so we have our libraries over here that we create that we can cycle through. Now let's look at EMBY. So EMBY is kind of similar. We have, let me go to home. So here's the home page. So you have Plex, home page, scroll all the way up, then we have EMBY homepage. Now you'll see the difference here is that on Plex, you have your libraries on the left, but on EMBY, your libraries are on the top. Now, I kind of prefer the libraries on the left, and it could just be that because I've been using Plex for so long, and Plex was the first media server that I used, that I prefer it that way, so I could be a little bit biased. This isn't bad, I just prefer it on the left. But it is nice that you can see at the top, and you don't have to, go over to your left. But we'll get into that more. So you have your continue watching. I don't know why that's on there twice. But you have your continue watching, last animated DC movies, last animated movie. And again, yours is going to look different depending on what type of libraries you have, what type of movies. But you get the idea. It's pretty similar. Now, if I go over here to the left, I can also access my movie libraries, just like I can on Plex over to the left. So you have two areas which you can access them. So I can click HD movies, and then I can back out, and then I can go HD movies from here. So they just give you a couple more options as far as, whether if you want to access your library from the home page, or you can just click over here. Now again, this is just online. This is the user interface on your actual computer. Now you can play movies from your computer as well. The experience is not going to be as good as, using a streaming device, depending on the capabilities of your computer and what type of speakers you have hooked up. If you have something that's Dolby Atmos, more than likely you're probably not going to be able to get Dolby Atmos from your computer unless you have your computer hooked up to a TV or an entertainment center, a receiver, processor, something like that. Okay, so we have our media. It's pretty much laid out the same. Now, if I go back to Plex and let's see, what do I want to look at? Well, let's do this. Let me show you how to add something if you want to add media to your library. So if I want to add something to, let's say, my animated movie section, I click here on this little ellipses here, and I go to Manage Library, and I go to Edit, and I go to Add Folders. So these are all the folders that I've already added. And if I click on my Total Commander, you can see it mirrors. So I have L, animated movies, here, K, animated movies. So this is where you add your media. Wherever your media is located, this is where you would do that. So let's say I wanted to add something from my K drive. I would go here and I would do browse for media, and then I'll find my K drive, and then it's going to show me all the folders that I have created here. So if I wanted to add, if I created another folder with whatever movies or TV shows. I would just click there, and then once I click in there, it'll show me everything that's in that folder, and then I hit add, and then it will add that folder to my collection, and then it'll start updating and it'll start adding metadata and things like that. So let's go over to EMBY. So if I wanted to add something in EMBY, if I click over here, animated movies, there's no way to add that from the home page, at least that I found. Now what you have to do is, and let me go back and I'll go back here as well. Animated movies, click on the ellipses. Yeah, so I have add to playlist, download, edit images, scan library files. So in order to add files to your library, this is the part that I was saying I think is a little bit convoluted with EMBY. I don't really care for it too much. So let's go over to settings. This is the settings button. And then if I go over to my library down here, this is where it shows all my libraries. So I can add a new library. I can scan the library files if I update, if I add something, add media to one of my folders. And then if I was to click on animated TV series, or let's click on animated movies, I click on the ellipses, and then I want to edit, and here is where I can add my media. So you get the idea. It's a little bit similar. You just have to go through a lot more steps, and you can't do that from basically the home screen like you can with Plex. So then I would hit here, folders, and this shows you all my folders. So I would click, let's say I wanted to click on my K drive, and then again it shows me my folders. And if I clicked on 4K animated Ultra HD, and then I would hit OK, and then it would add my media. But then you have some other options down here. And you may not need to mess with all this stuff, but so you have your metadata. It'll pull from the MovieDB, or you can pull from the Open Movie Database. Movie images, you've got these options here. Video preview thumbnails, just like on Plex, you can do that as well. And then you have subtitles that you can download and stuff like that. So Plex also, you can do that as well. Now, if I wanted to change one of the metadata on one of my movies or my TV shows, so like here on Dune, if I wanted to change this image, what I would do is I would click here on this little pencil, I think that's a pencil, and I would click on poster, and then it has all these posters that I can choose from. So let's say I wanted to click on this one and I wanted to change that. I would hit save, and then you'll see it'll update. So it updates. Now let's say I have a collection like No Time to Die. I have all those Bond movies. Well, what I would do is I would click on the little pencil again, and I would hit tags. And in tags, I can type in, which I've already done, I can type in James Bond. Now, let's say if I was to delete that. Oops. Let me get my right keyboard here. Okay, so let's say I deleted that, like that wasn't there and I wanted to add it. Or if I've already added other movies to a collection, if I start typing, or even if I don't start typing, James Bond. But let's say I wanted to type it. James Bond. And there it is. So I would click that, save, and then if I go into my movies where that's located and I click on collections, you can see James Bond. And then I have all the movies from James Bond. If I go back, you can see all the collections that I have. So these are all movies that are grouped together because they're either part of a universe or they're, part 1, part 2, part 3, different things like that. So you can create collections and you can sort however you want by each library. If I want to sort by the library, A through Z, I can do that. I can sort by collections, or I can sort by playlists if I have a playlist collected. or I can do recommended, which Plex will just recommend me movies. I don't know how that algorithm works, how they decide which ones to recommend, but you can do that as well. So if we go back to EMBY, if I go back here, go back to the home screen. Now let's go into HD movies. So if I wanted to change an image just like I did in Plex, if I click on this little ellipses, I can go to edit images. Now I don't really like this because it doesn't give you a whole lot of options like Plex does. Again, I haven't used EMBY as extensively as I have Plex. So if there is a way that you can do this that's easier, then let me know in the comments if you're using EMBY. But one thing that I do like about EMBY that you can't do with Plex, which I haven't seen that you can do with Plex yet. But let's say that EMBY didn't pull one of the metadata for the images from one of my movies. Let me find one here. And that's one thing about EMBY is that it'll do that sometimes. Sometimes it just won't find the right metadata, so your image will be blank. Or sometimes it'll find a completely wrong one. So okay, so what is this one? So this is Black Widow. So for whatever reason, it didn't find the metadata. But what's really cool is if I go to IMDb and I type in IMDb, oops, let's go here. Okay, IMDb. If I go to IMDb and then I type in Black Widow 2021, I can copy this number here. So I can copy that number. I'm going to right click, copy, and then I'm going to go back to EMBY. So if I click the ellipses and then I go to identify, if I take that IMDb ID that I just put in right here and then I hit search, and it pulls up everything for me. And now let's go back to Black Widow. So now it's all there. So that, I really do like that because it makes the process a lot quicker. You know, Plex will find it automatically and EMBY will too, but EMBY I found is a little bit more glitchy when it's trying to find metadata. Sometimes if it has a movie has the same name as another movie or a movie that's similar, it'll completely just pick a different movie that's not your movie. But I do like that you can actually go in here and manually go to IMDb. You can select that ID. This is the ID for the movie, and any movie that you pull up, it'll have this ID there, and then you just go back and then you just type that in there, hit save, and then it saves your metadata. So that's really cool. That's one feature that I do like about EMBY. Now let's see, what else do we have here? So go back to Plex and then I'll go back to home. So let's click on Dune. So when I click on Dune or any movie, this is what I see here. So it gives me the movie, it gives me the info, and it gives me the cast, so all this stuff, right? If we go to EMBY and I look for Dune. Where is Dune at? There we are. Click on Dune. Same thing. So really similar here. And it'll tell me, you know, what hard drive it's on, where it's located, and then it gives me all these statistics. I believe Plex does that as well. Actually, no. I have to click here and then get info, and then it'll tell me. So it just depends on how you like that. If you want to see all this stuff on the actual screen without having to go click somewhere and look for it, that's your personal preference. But if I wanted to, I could play the movie from here. So I could hit resume, and it probably won't play because it's a Dolby Atmos track. So yeah, so a required codec cannot be found. And that's because I'm using my computer right now, and I don't have it hooked up to anything to play Dolby Atmos. And this is probably going to do the same thing. Oh, I don't know, it might play. So it's actually playing, but I'm not seeing anything. And it's probably because my display is not 4K HDR. Oh, no, it stopped. Oh, actually the video's coming up. That's interesting. But it's frozen, so yeah. It's if I had this hooked up to my, if I had my computer hooked up to my receiver or maybe even the TV, this would probably play. But I don't have any speakers hooked up to the computer, and my display is not 4K HDR. It's just a normal display. So consider that if you want to use your computer, if you want to sit at your computer and watch movies, you need to think about the type of files that you are adding and what type of codecs. If you're just playing like Dolby Digital, or DTS HD, it'll probably play. Like I said, it depends on what your computer is hooked up to. So this is not an ideal experience. I don't ever sit at my computer and watch Plex or EMBY. I don't even use my tablets really unless I'm like on a plane somewhere and I have stuff that's pre-downloaded. Okay. Oh, let me go back here and stop that. Okay. So if I go back to settings, this is what I was talking about. I don't really care for this layout. To me, this looks a little bit convoluted, and it could be because EMBY is an open sourced software server. I don't know if Plex is. I think it was. It may still be, or it may not be. I don't know. But Plex has obviously grown a lot. They have a lot more services that they didn't have before, so I don't know if they're even still open sourced. But this here, so if I go to Plex and I was to go to settings, if I go here to settings, to me, this looks more aesthetically pleasing. It just looks like it's more organized. So I have all this stuff over here. I can type on remote access, general. I can click on agents. So these are agents where you can select where the metadata is pulled from for movies, shows, artists, stuff like that. And then my library, I can have it to where I can customize it. I'm not going to do a deep dive into this. I've already made a Plex video, a couple tutorials, so if you want, you can check those out. But just to kind of show you, you've got your network tab, transcoding, DLNA, scheduled tasks, extras. And then if I go to over here to EMBY to the dashboard, you can see it's a lot different. And this to me, this is kind of confusing. Like, I consider myself a tech savvy person, but if somebody who's not tech savvy is trying to set up a movie server on their computer, I think they're going to be confused by this layout, because there's so many things over here that you can do. Like, half of this stuff I don't even know what it is. I mean, I know what most of it is, but the other stuff I really don't know, and I don't really care to go and start digging into it because I know I don't need it. But to me, EMBY's is just a little bit, EMBY settings is just a little bit more convoluted. So if you're not too tech savvy, that might be another thing. I think Plex is really set up for, to me, Plex is like Apple. Apple's devices are geared towards people. They want you to have an ease. It's not complicated. It's very easy to set up. It's very easy to use. It's easy to navigate. And I feel like that's how Plex is. EMBY's not that bad, but I feel like if I had to choose one, if I knew nothing about movie servers and I wasn't tech savvy, if I had to choose one, I would go with Plex. But EMBY has some good things as well. Now, there's also webhooks that you can do, and I use webhooks with Plex to configure my lights to work with Plex when I play and pause. I haven't been able to get that to work with EMBY. It's super convoluted. Like, I just stopped messing with it after a while because I couldn't figure it out. So that's what I was talking about with EMBY. Like, I think because it's open sourced, a lot of their things are customizable, and you can go in there and probably like edit and I don't know, maybe even do some coding. So some of the stuff in here that's really easy to do with Plex is very complicated with Emby. So that's just something to think about. And it's got live TV DVR, which Plex also has the same thing. It's got your advanced functions, scheduled tasks, same thing. You can go in here and tell it to scan your library file every couple days or every couple hours, every 15 minutes. So you can do a lot of stuff. I'm not going to do a whole deep dive into this either. If you've used Plex, it's pretty easy to kind of figure out and mess around with. But I just wanted to kind of show you first the user interface online, the actual brains of the server, because this is what's running your server and, behind the scenes. So let's go over to the Plex clients in the home theater room and take a look at that. Okay, so right now I am on the NVIDIA Shield and I'm in the Plex app. So everybody, you pretty much know what the Plex app looks like. Again, I have some tutorials, you can go check that out. But it looks pretty similar to the computer, right? But this is a streaming device, so you've set up your Plex server or your Emby server, and now you want to use your clients, which are your streaming devices. So right now I'm on the NVIDIA Shield, and this is the user interface, the layout. So if I was to go into, let's see, let's pick a movie here. Okay, so I want to watch that. Same thing, shows me the cast, shows me some extras, shows me some reviews from Rotten Tomatoes, shows me related movies. So if I want to go back up and I want to play, I can hit more and I can select playback settings. So if there's subtitles, I can select subtitles. If I want to do watch together, I could do watch together, which is awesome, especially during the pandemic. If you're stuck at home or you don't want to go out, you don't want to go to the movies, and unfortunately, this doesn't work with movies in theater like, Disney Plus or HBO Max. But if you have a movie that you want to watch with friends and you don't want to leave your house, Plex allows you to do that, and it's super easy. It works very good. It still has some kinks that need to be worked out. But to be able to get on your own media server and invite people and watch the same movie in sync, that's awesome. Now, there's no, chat option or anything like that. Like I think Disney Plus has that option where you can do like emojis and stuff, or you can chat. But I mean, if you want, you can open up WhatsApp or something like that. But Watch Together is an awesome feature, and I'm going to talk more about that in a little bit. But I can add to playlist, I can delete it, I can hit more info if I wanted to, and it's going to tell me the synopsis of the movie. It's going to give me the director, the studio, the genre, and then it gives me some file information. And then if I want to go and hit resume or play, I can do that, and it's going to start playing here in a couple seconds. Okay, so now the movie's playing, and if I bring up the options, I can change the resolution. If I want to transcode it to a different resolution, I can do that. And here we have our subtitles. I can select my subtitles there. And then if I go here, I can do playback settings, playback info. It'll show me that, the statistics for the movie that I'm playing. I can add to playlist. If I want to go to the movie, then it'll kick me back out and it will take me to the menu. Okay. So let's go back in there. And the reason why you're seeing this no video is because I'm using a capture card. And there's no video during the handshake. Okay, so if I want to do chapter selections, I can select which chapter I want to go to. If I want to go to chapter 18, I can click that. It takes me to chapter 18. Okay. And then, I can scrub 30 seconds, and you can change that actually. You can, if you want to scrub, 40 seconds or a minute, you can change all that stuff in the settings. I want to go back, hit the back button, okay? So pretty simple. You probably already know this stuff. So let's now go to EMBY. Let me back out of here. Now if I go to EMBY, animated movies, and let's go to the same movie, Big Hero 6. See, there's another movie that for whatever reason EMBY just didn't find, and it does that quite a bit actually. I would say 85 to 90% of the time it finds the right movie, but then sometimes it just doesn't find it at all and it's just blank. Like if I was to click on that, it gives me everything else, and it even has the album art right there. So that's really weird that it does that. Oh, now there it is. So I don't think that's going to be a determining factor whether you decide on Plex or EMBY, but that's just something to think about, just a little annoyance. So let's go to Big Hero 6. So again here, I can play the trailers, I can play the movie, it'll tell me if it's played or not. I can mark it as played, or I can unmark it as played. I can add it to favorites, I can delete it, I can refresh metadata. If I go to more, edit subtitles, okay. And then here it tells me there's subtitles. It doesn't let me click on audio. Okay, well that's not a big deal. So then it has the cast and crew, it has chapters. So it gives you a little bit more information than Plex. And then more movies like this. So if I want to play the movie, I hit play. See, that came up a little bit faster than Plex. Now if I want to bring up the controls, if I press up, I get the chapters. And if I press up again, oops, I'm sorry. If I press down, then it gives me these options. I can do captions or subtitles, I'm sorry. I can go forward in the movie. It looks like it jumps about 30 seconds. I can go backwards. I can hit info and it tells me about the movie. And I do like how it shows the actual metadata, like it actually shows the poster for the movie on screen and it doesn't take up the whole screen. That's really cool. So I really do like that feature. So if I go back, hit down, if I go over here, it tells me the cast and crew, which I can look at during the movie while the movie's still playing. So if that's important to you. And then I can do here, I can do the chapters again. So if I wanted to go to let me go back to that. I wanted to go a different chapter. Okay, let's exit out of there. Yes. Let's go back to Plex. Okay, so I can bring up the chapter selection. Now if I press down, it just gives me the chapter selection. It doesn't pull up the poster and the info like EMBY does. So that's a nice feature that Plex doesn't look like it has. Now, like I was saying before, Plex has watch together. I can go over here and I can select watch together, and then I can select whatever friends that I've invited. And you do have to you can create a guest, and I think you can probably have as many guests as you want, but you can invite people by email. They can either sign up with Plex and create their own account, and you can link them that way, or you can actually create a profile for them, and then they'd have to sign into your account, and then they can just select the profile that you created, and then you can. I don't know if there's a limit on watch together. I'm not aware that there is a limit. I would imagine that there is one at some point, because that's another thing that you have to think about is your internet speed and how many people you have. So the more people you have, then the faster your upload speed is going to need to be. Okay, so watch together. Now if I go back to Emby, and I go to animated movies, and then I go to Big Hero 6, and I go to more. Excuse me. There's no watch together. And before watch together was even an option, it was something that I didn't know that I needed. And even when it first came out, I was like, I'm never gonna use that. Like, but then the pandemic hit, and I was using it every Friday for about a year with friends, and it was awesome. We could log in. I created a login for them. I gave them my info, and every Friday night, 7:30, we'd pick a movie. They'd sign in, and we'd watch a movie all the way through. And then we had WhatsApp, open on our phones or our tablets and computers, and we would talk if we wanted to say something. But 2 years in to the pandemic, I don't remember how long Plex has had the Watch Together feature, but 2 years into the pandemic, and MB still hasn't added this feature, and that's huge for me, because I haven't used Watch Together the past couple months very much, because me and my friends, we've been having a little bit different schedules. But the fact that MB hasn't added this feature yet, I would assume and hope that they're working on that. But if you want to do Watch Together with friends, that's going to be a really big factor whether you go with Plex or MB. So I don't understand why they haven't came out with that yet, and I've Googled it. I haven't searched it in a while, but I haven't seen anything that's they're even working on it or developing it. But I would assume so, to keep in competition with Plex, because people want to watch movies together during a pandemic. You're stuck at home, you can't go anywhere, you don't want to go to the movies. That's huge. Okay, so let's go over to the Apple TV and look at the Plex clients on there. So let me go and change that. Change my source here. Okay. All right. And so we have Plex. Okay. So it's going to be the same setup, because they've all the Plex clients pretty much display the same user interface now. It didn't used to be that way. Now, Apple is a little bit different, because they have some stipulations onto how apps work on their devices. So, but same thing. Looks the same, right? So let's go back into our movie here. And same thing, if I wanted to, I can go watch together, more info, all this stuff. So that's the same. So let's go to resume. I hit resume there. And actually, there's something that I forgot to show you that I'm going to show you here in a minute. Okay, so if I want to bring up the controls on Apple TV, I have to swipe down, which I guess is not a big deal. I don't really care for that because all the other streaming devices, you have to swipe up or press up on your D-pad on the remote. So it's just kind of I even still forget that I have to click down. So here I can select all the chapters, all that stuff, playback settings. It gives you, and I can select if they have multiple audio streams, I can select that, and then have subtitles and then technical details. It just gives you pretty much a basic information. Okay, so let's go to MB. Okay, so go back to Big Hero 6, hit resume. So this is weird. So I hit arrow down on the Apple TV, and it doesn't give me the same options like it does with Plex. It says undefined, which I've never seen that before. Actually, I haven't used MB on Apple TV in a very long time, but that's weird. So that may be an issue for some people as well. I don't know if it's just mine, but I would assume that it's on Apple TV. So that may be something that MB needs to look into to fix. But as you can see on the NVIDIA Shield, you get a lot more information and a lot more options during the movie than you do on the Apple TV. But again, I think that's an extension of Apple and them just locking down everything. But that's interesting. Okay. So you can do trailers. And that's another thing with trailers. And I'm not going to do it here because it's not going to be any point, but I've noticed that the trailers on, well, you know what? Let's look at it. The trailers on MB seem to be a lot more better quality than, oh, well, that's the thing. So it's going to open up the trailer in YouTube. But I don't think it actually opened up my YouTube app on Apple TV. But I mean, that's really good quality for a trailer, and it played it very fast. So let's see if I can find out what the information is on this. So that's 1080p. So 1080p. That's really good quality. Oh, it did open up my YouTube, so that's really weird. Not weird, but you can't do that within the app like you can with Plex. I think it just plays it. So that may be why the quality is better, is because it's pulling it straight from YouTube. So let's go here and let's watch the trailer. That looks pretty good as well. Info, playback settings. App cannot direct play this item. No direct play video profile exists for protocol MP4. Okay, that's weird. So I don't know where the trailer is being pulled from, but that was actually pretty clear. On NVIDIA Shield, I've noticed that the trailers for Plex are like in 720p. So that's interesting. But okay, let's go over to the Xbox. So let me turn on my Xbox here. Okay. And then let me switch over to my Xbox. Okay. So let me go to Plex. Okay, so we'll go to Big Hero 6. And again, same thing, same layout across the board, which is good. So we'll hit resume. Okay. So here's the controls. If I want, I can change the subtitles, change the quality. And I can change the quality here. I have a little bit more options here. Audio, subtitles, allow direct play. And I have my chapters. Pretty fast. Okay. So now let's go to MB. Back out of here. Yes. And hopefully I still have it downloaded. Nope, so I need to download it. So I'll download this and then I'll come back. All right, so MB is here. So again, looks the same. And then I can click. This looks a little bit different on the Xbox. But everything else looks, everything's there. Now, this is what I was saying is weird. So what does this say? It says, unlock this feature with an active MB Premiere subscription. If you have an active MB Premiere subscription, ensure you've set up MB Premiere in your MB server dashboard, which you can access by clicking MB Premiere within the main menu. This is weird, and this is crazy because as you just saw, I was able to play movies on MB on my Apple TV as well as my NVIDIA Shield. Now, I've noticed that it does this sometimes on different streaming services, and I don't know why. What's also weird is I've already paid. So I believe you have to pay like a one-time fee, like on your phones and tablets to use MB. And I think Plex is the same way. Like you pay $5 and then you have it unlocked forever. The fact that it's telling me that I need to get MB Premiere, which is basically like Plex Pass, you have some different features that are not available on the free version because Plex is a free software. But if you pay, $4.99 a month, or you can buy a lifetime pass and you get like some other features and stuff. But this is crazy. Like, why am I able to play or use the full features of MB on my Apple TV and my NVIDIA Shield, but not here? Like, that's ridiculous. And I've already paid. So if I hit paid, and I don't have MB Premiere currently, I did have it. So that's crazy. And I can play 1 minute. So I don't understand how that works at all. That's very strange. So another thing for you to think about with MB, these are some things that you might come across. I never come across this with Plex ever. Okay, so let's switch over to, let's see, I've tried the NVIDIA Shield, I've tried the Apple TV, and I've tried my Xbox, right? So what is left? I think that's pretty much it. But what I did want to show is the apps for Apple devices. So I'm going to jump over to my iPad and I'm going to open up Plex. Okay. So, oops, and it looks like I've dropped my Apple Pencil. So, this is what the app looks like. The Plex app looks like on my iPad. And you can pull this up on your iPhone or a MacBook if you have one, but I want to use my iPad because it gives me a little bit more real estate. So if I want to go to Big Hero 6 and I hit resume.
Robots was stolen? No, I thought they were all destroyed. Look,
Okay.
I know it sounds crazy, but Baymax
Turn that
was
down.
here too. Tell him.
And then I want to pull up the controls. I just tap on the screen. Controls come up. And then I can select go to movie, chapter selection, playback settings, playback info. Okay. So you get the idea with that. Now, if I go to EMBY, same thing, looks the same. I can go to animated movies. I can go to Big Hero 6. I can hit resume. Same thing. EMBY Premiere monthly $6.99, but to unlock it, I have to pay $4.99. That's absurd. That's ridiculous. And I know that I have paid, so I had EMBY Premiere before. I had the monthly service, and then I canceled it. That should have at least given me like a lifetime access to use the app. I have to pay $4.99 just to unlock the app. That to me is unacceptable. And Plex is not like that. Like I said, I think you have to pay a one-time fee for Plex, and then it's free forever under your account. But the fact that I've had EMBY Premiere multiple months, that itself doesn't unlock the app for me, like for free to keep. That's absurd. So again, something else for you to think about when using EMBY. If you're going to be using mobile devices heavily, you're going to have to pay a $4.99 fee. And let me see what happens. I purchased this app because I'm pretty sure I purchased this app a while ago, and it does nothing. So that's really annoying. But what I wanted to show you was Plex has added some other apps that you can use. So if I go to the Apple Store and I go to search and I type in Plex. So I have the Plex app, which is here, but then I also have Plex Dash, and then I also have Plex Amp. So let me show you what Plex Dash does. So Plex Dash, now if I go over on my, let me go here, and let me switch back over to my Apple TV. Okay, so I'm on my Apple TV. Let's say that I hit resume on the Apple TV. Okay, so it's playing, right? Now, if I go back over to Plex, Plex Dash will show me what is being played on my server, even if whether it's me locally or one of my friends in Utah is playing something from my server. I can pull up the Plex Dash app and I can see that something's playing. I can see what's playing. I can see who's playing it. And you'll see that one of them just went away because, it just updated. But I can see what's playing. I can see who's playing it. I can see where the movie's at. And if I click on these little ellipses, I can stop playback. So let's say, I don't know, your ex-girlfriend logs into your Plex and starts playing something, and you're like, wait a minute, nope, I'm gonna hit stop playback, and then I can type a message. I'm gonna not let you finish. Stop. And boom, it stopped. And a message comes up. Haterade Cowboy asked to stop your playback from the server. I'm gonna not let you finish. That is pretty cool that Plex allows you to do this. You can monitor your Plex from your phone. If you're not home, and I get alerts on my phone. Like if one of my friends that I've given access to, if they start playing something on my server, I get an alert on my phone in the Plex app that says, whoever started watching something on, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, they're watching it. I can open it and I can see what they're looking at. If you have kids, this is helpful. If you have, if you don't want them to watch certain programs or whatever, you have total control over this. And then, so I'm going to hit OK here. So let me see if it'll let me play it again. Because I'm not sure what happens if you play it again right after you stop it. Okay, so you can play it again. So if I go here to this little, I guess it's like a little lightning bolt at the top, it shows me my server graphics. So it shows me that I'm playing it locally, this little yellow bar, or I'm sorry, yellow line, and then it shows me how hard my processor is working, which it's not doing anything at all because it's being direct played. And then it shows me how much memory is being used. Super, super cool. If I click down here, I can see what libraries I have. I can see top charts of what's been played. I can go to settings and I can customize that. Awesome that Plex is giving you this capabilities. So if I go back to the App Store, there's also Plex Amp. So Plex Amp is basically let me sign in here. So Plex Amp, if you have music on your library, this allows you to play your music. Like a dedicated music app for your Plex library. So that's cool too. So I can scroll through all here, all this stuff. I can go to my library artists. It'll show me all of my artists. And then yeah, I can select whoever I want to listen to. Let's see. Let's go to something. And I can click on the album and I can start playing it. Now, let's go back to the App Store and select EMBY. The only option I get is that one app. And I don't have a Plex, like the Plex. Let me go back. So see, I have 3 different apps that I can use with Plex. EMBY's still behind on that. So again, I would assume maybe they are working on those things, but Plex versus EMBY, I'm going to have to go with Plex. Like, I like EMBY. They've got some things going. I think it's very stable. It's always been very stable, and Plex wasn't always like that. But if I had to choose, I'm going to go with Plex because I have so many more options and I can completely control my media server. So I hope this video has helped you in deciding how you're going to build your media server, whether you're going to use Plex or Emby.
Alright guys, well I hope you found this video helpful in deciding whether or not you should use Plex or Emby. Let me know in the comments what you guys are using. Are you using Plex? Are you using Emby? Are you going to switch from Plex to Emby or Emby to Plex? Or maybe you're using an entirely different movie server on your home network. Let me know in the comments as well. Alright guys, well as always, thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. I'm Haterade Cowboy, and this is Haterade Cowboy Cinema.